cedo el micrófono al presidente de Monterrey, arquitecto Oscar.
Bueno, muy buenas noches a todos los presentes. Quiero dar la bienvenida en esta noche al arquitecto Richard Rogers. Tenemos el honor que nos acompaña en esta nuestra sede del capítulo Monterrey de la Academia Nacional de Arquitectura de la Sociedad de Arquitectos Mexicanos. Igualmente, doy la bienvenida, tenemos el honor de tener al arquitecto Ricardo Legorreta con nosotros, igual que al arquitecto Manuel, que nos distingue con su presencia. Académicos, invitados y amigos, sean todos bienvenidos a esta pequeña, corta sesión. Sabemos que el arquitecto está cansado, pero no queríamos dejar de aprovechar la oportunidad de hacer un reconocimiento a su visita y queremos participar con todos los presentes una distinción especial para el arquitecto. Distinguido arquitecto Richard Rogers, es un honor para nosotros contar con su presencia en México, particularmente en nuestra ciudad de Monterrey y en nuestro Museo de Historia Mexicana, sede del capítulo Monterrey. A nombre del capítulo Monterrey de la Academia Nacional de Arquitectura de la Sociedad de Arquitectos Mexicanos, agradecemos haber aceptado la invitación a compartir con nosotros estos momentos. La Academia, por su naturaleza, es una institución nacional para la promoción y desarrollo de la arquitectura mexicana como expresión cultural. Está constituida como un foro plural para la expresión del pensamiento de los miembros académicos cuyos objetivos son la creación de un ámbito en la cultura nacional e internacional para la arquitectura que permita a la comunidad entenderla, valorarla y ubicarla como elemento indispensable para la vida a la cual aspiramos todos. El reconocimiento de la arquitectura como la disciplina con mayor capacidad para diseñar el espacio habitable requerido por los pobladores de nuestro país, con el alcance humanista que entraña nuestra tradición, historia y cultura. La vinculación arquitectura-comunidad para quedar establecida desde la fundamentación filosófica que soporta los proyectos hasta la evaluación de las realizaciones, lo cual requiere de un profundo ejercicio de reflexión, autocrítica y prospección. La elaboración de una filosofía del espacio que tenga su origen en el pensamiento arquitectónico, con el objeto de asegurar que todo espacio dedicado al poblamiento sea un espacio conquistado para la cultura. El intercambio y difusión de ideas a nivel nacional e internacional, con la celebración permanente y sistemática de sesiones académicas de trabajo que deberá, a través del diálogo y el debate, propiciar y organizar el intercambio de ideas, conocimientos y experiencias culturales y profesionales. También el reconocimiento y distinción a los arquitectos que dentro del ámbito nacional e internacional su labor haya sobresalido en el campo de la arquitectura como aportación. Por esto, ofrecemos a usted nuestro reconocimiento por su trascendente labor y aportación a la arquitectura contemporánea internacional. Reciba pues, arquitecto Rogers, de manos de nuestro secretario, el arquitecto José Ángel Camargo, este reconocimiento, el cual se lee de esta manera: el capítulo Monterrey de la Academia Nacional de Arquitectura de la Sociedad de Arquitectos Mexicanos otorga el presente reconocimiento al arquitecto Richard Rogers por sus méritos profesionales y su aportación a la arquitectura contemporánea. Ciudad de Monterrey, Nuevo León, al 21 de septiembre de 1995. Igualmente, arquitecto, quisiéramos entregarle a nombre del capítulo Monterrey de la Academia, de manos del arquitecto Javier Meléndez, creador de la pieza símbolo de nuestro capítulo, una pieza de cristal que significa la distinción del capítulo Monterrey y transparente testimonio del honor de su visita. Arquitecto, estos dos símbolos, tanto el título como la pieza de cristal, significan la transparencia de nuestras acciones en el reconocimiento a arquitectos que, como usted, han desarrollado una labor que trasciende las fronteras de su propio país y de su propio continente, de la cual recibimos con todo cariño, con todo afecto y el reconocimiento profesional que un individuo y un arquitecto con la calidad moral que usted tiene se merece. Un aplauso de parte. A continuación queda abierta por un momento, sabemos que el arquitecto está cansado, abierta la sesión para comentar con él algunas inquietudes que pudieran existir. Adelante. ¿Quiere usted dirigir algunas palabras?
El arquitecto Roger les va a decir unas palabras.
Thank you for giving me the honor of these awards. I'm delighted that it should be from Mexico, which is a country I find most beautiful, most fascinating, and whose people I have greatly enjoyed. I have strong connections in the sense that though I don't speak Spanish, I am Italian and I understand what is being said. That itself gives me a certain joy. And I too hope that my relationship and our relationship will be long and as transparent as this sculpture. I'm greatly honored to be in your beautiful country. Thank you very much.
¿Alguno de las personas presentes quisiera hacer algunas preguntas al arquitecto Rogers, al arquitecto Legorreta o al arquitecto Michael Webb? Por favor. Adelante.
Are you going to have a trip around Mexico?
Yes.
Good. Where are you going?
Well, tomorrow Mexico City. Yes, actually, my guide is on my left.
Terrible guy.
We're going to Mexico City and to Valle de Bravo for the weekend, and then they go to disappear in the private house in Huatulco. And then we send him back to work. Refreshing.
After all,
Yeah, absolutely.
From your association with the Friends of Piano, what kind of remains have you? How you see the Friends of Piano work in the past? Have you some comments about the Kansai airport, for instance?
I mean, I'm still working with Renzo Piano. I'm working in Berlin with him, and I'm working on something Pompidou where I'm doing a big project there. And we're very, very close friends. We're extremely close friends. He has continued very much in the direction that he has always been interested in, which has interested me. Perhaps more specifically from, as he says, from small to big rather than big to small. His approach from understanding the language of pieces, the language of components, allows him great flexibility. And I think tremendous elegance in humanism. So that his buildings seldom start from a sketch. They tend to build up from those pieces. I think the Kansai Airport, which I was on the jury, is a terrific building. It's a terrific roof to start with. And there it is difficult building to do because there are so many people working, especially outside the building, the area around outside is practically destroyed. The building itself, the terminal, is fantastic. Perhaps my favorite big building is actually the football stadium at Bari, which I think is the way it grows out of the ground. It's quite wonderful. And then, of course, many of these projects, especially some of the very small projects, like the housing in Paris, like Ilkan, the red tile buildings that he's done, as well as some of the pavilions and so on. To me, I find him to be the most interesting European architect.
What do you think about the contemporary Mexican?
I think it's, let me just say two things. First of all, what fascinates me about the contemporary architecture is that there's such continuity. I know of no country which seems to me to have such a long continuity of architecture. I feel this not only just in architecture, but in all your artworks, whether it's painting, whether it is folk art. There's that amazing continuity from Maya, from the early pre-Columbian to now. I think in terms of having a clear identity, it is this history that gives you that identity. And I think the culmination, the modern culmination, is unique in its beauty because of that element of continuous. Looking at your museums, looking at the houses, looking at the use of colors, looking at the often very simple materials that you use in such modern, elegant ways, it makes it totally different to any other place. So again, I'm proud to be associated with it. I think it's best. At its best.
I would like to do two questions. The first one is, when will we be able to see you in a joint venture with Pell?
We're talking about this often.
I would like to see that.
I'd love to.
Of course. And the second one is, there's a very strong critic about contemporary architecture country, Prince Charles. What do you think about that?
Not much.
How do you fight back so strong ideas against contemporary architecture being so traditional? Prince Charles and how do you support your projects?
I suppose you do your own thing, whatever you do. It's not very, you have to do what you have to do. And I think at one level you try to discuss or to debate. Actually, one of the most negative effects of working with royalty is that you cannot have a debate with royalty. There's a contradiction. Prince Charles, the Buckingham Palace does not allow royalty to debate. That's one reason I'm so strongly against it. I think it's somewhat dictatorial approach because there is no argument. There's one thing to have an opinion, but this is actually a very false one. On the other hand, I think time has, his strength is much less now, much less. And I suppose for a long time we worked mainly abroad. Things have changed. In the last years, the last 5-10 years, there has been, the last 5 years, there has been much stronger, a more positive approach to modern architecture in England. But England is not very comfortable with visual arts. It's not like here. This is a very visual art. England is much more about theatre, about music, not much about architecture, not in the last 100 years. I haven't seen it. Therefore, I have a difficulty. I don't know Portuguese as well, work well, I have to say. I have some difficulty with it.
Arquitecto, por encima de la parte científica y las búsquedas ecológicas en una solución arquitectónica de parte suya, como la visión tan universal con que toca los problemas arquitectónicos, se muestra una voluntad creadora y con una expresión de mucha fuerza de la tecnología. ¿Qué podría ampliarnos sobre este aspecto de la voluntad creadora y la expresión tecnológica en su obra?
Technology is a process, and I think there's technology in anything which is made. You can use the correct technology, the appropriate technology, and that may be mud brick, or it may be high tensile carbon steel. I think what is right is really the appropriateness, and you measure that appropriateness against the problem and also against the language which you have become used to. In other words, with a limit you can't do everything, so you become more used to certain forms, certain technologies. And you tend to try and master those. But I find no gap at all between the technology that, let us say, I see around here, which I saw in Ricardo, which I know Ricardo's work, and the technology that, let us say, I use. They aim at the same, they use the same approach. They may be using different materials, but the forms, the clarity, the beliefs that we come from, I suppose we all come from the modern movement. We may be critics of the modern movement, but we are all part of that modern movement. And in that sense, we work together.
Quería nada más si se pudiera ampliar un poco en la forma de entender o la línea que divide o la línea que usted marca en la aplicación o en la resultante del entorno y el contexto de una obra arquitectónica, particularmente en el caso de Lloyd en Londres, en donde hay un ambiente de tradición y la aplicación de un edificio como el suyo.
Lloyd's is built in a medieval street pattern. The streets are very narrow, and that area is very medieval. The buildings are mainly around about, probably mainly 19th century and 20th century, primarily 19th century. There is a considerable mixture of styles as reflected in this mixture of time, over time. I think that it would be very strange today to imitate a 19th century style. Anyhow, would you imitate the 19th century, the 20th, or the 18th century style? So the context that we look at is much more the context of how you see buildings. The context of chiaroscuro. The context of skyline. The context in terms of the building, Lloyd's is low, where the buildings are low. On the south side, mounts up high. To the north side, where the buildings, the contextual buildings, are higher than itself. So it mediates between low and high. It looks at the skyline in relationship to both the neighborhood and also London. When we did our first sketches, we took both very close sketches just of the walls, the views of those streets, as well as went very far away. We went 4 or 5 miles away and did sketches of the skyline. So there is a form of contextualism. The form responds to a certain contextualism. But finally, as I mentioned in my lecture, I think that if you can get the right scale, and scale comes from parts, as Renzo Piano would say, then quality talks across time. If you do a good modern building, then it will talk, it will relate, I say, it will relate to the historic buildings. And that has always happened. And every period has had modern buildings. All the most inventive periods have had modern buildings are modern. And always there is if you look at the Brunelleschi at the beginning of Renaissance, or the early Greek, these were revolutionaries in their time. And yet today we see them all as being part of history, part of time. And that's where the marriage is. The marriage is between quality, scale and grade, and not between style.
¿Alguien más que quiera hacer alguna última pregunta? Porque el arquitecto ya está por salir a un compromiso posterior.
Pues nuevamente quiero agradecer a nombre del capítulo Monterrey de la Academia el honor de su presencia, arquitecto, asimismo como el honor de la presencia del arquitecto Legorreta y del arquitecto Manuel, y la presencia de todos ustedes, sus queridas esposas que nos acompañan. Quiero dejar patente nuevamente el reconocimiento que le hacemos, y más que todo a ese gran pensamiento universal y esa enseñanza que hoy nos ha dejado no solamente a la institución del tecnológico, al cual le debo de dar un agradecimiento y una felicitación a los organizadores de este brillantísimo evento que están haciendo, y el capítulo de esta manera modesta hacer el reconocimiento que tan distinguidas personalidades merecen. Nuevamente les pido un aplauso para nuestros invitados.
One thing.